Well, happy Monday. It's March 11th. It's also spring break here in Austin and want to share with you the latest data here in the Austin metro area. I'm going to show you these are February numbers. We're also going to look at up to the minute trends and some data right now. Plus, I'm going to share with you interest rates on the back end, and there's some good news there. So stick around for that. So this is looking at February sales, and we can already start to see some important trends shaping up for 2024. Total sales are already up 6.5%. Look at pendings. We're up almost 24% over this time last year. What does that mean? That means there's more buyer activity and there's more contracts being written. But it's not just more buyers in the market. We have more sellers too. New listings, net new listings is up 44%. And if we look at the 5-county area, this line here, back in 2023, we had actually seen fewer sellers trying to sell their home than the previous year. This year, we're up 1,000 units over this time last year. So a lot more sales activity. And I think more of that is resale and not quite as much new construction. I think we're finally getting the resale sellers, those ones who have struggled for the last few years to sell their properties, are all flooding back into the market to get their homes sold this year. Average price, median sold price, it's still very early. This is February, but we're a little up for the metro area over this time last year, about 3.4%. So watching that. Days on market is still climbing a little bit. Some of that is because we have a lot of inventory coming into the market. So until that supply demand kind of shifts a little bit more to the demand over the supply, I think days on market will still be around that 4-month mark, which is what we're seeing here. If I come down into the city of Austin, which is this second block here, again, total sales are up almost 9%. Pendings are up almost 25%, and new listings up 42%. Net new listings are up 358% over this time last year. So again, we're seeing more buyers and more sellers. So that's something to keep an eye on. That supply-demand imbalance is going to dictate price and how quickly things will sell. And again, in the city, we're sitting about 4 months of inventory. Here's a couple charts that are real time. So we're looking at data as of this moment. So this is original price versus sold price. The green is where homes originally started and where they ultimately sell as an aggregate. So looking at everything in the market. And we had a much wider split early last year and into 2022 when the prices were really coming down hard. That's what we were seeing. It started to tighten up, but again, had a lot of inventory in the fall, saw that gap widen. But what you can see, here's January, February, and March right now. The median price, at least asking, is going up. So we're seeing the median asking price going up, but we're also seeing the closed sales price going up. So January, we were around 425,000. We got through February. It bumped up to about 439. Now we're still early in March, so this is not a good view of everything that will close in March, but it's jumped up to 467. So 425 in January, we're now seeing the median price jump up to 467. I also think it's loosening up some of the upper priced homes, and that's going to bring that median price up. Here is another chart. This is looking at the inventory right now. So this is active versus sold listings, and you can kind of see the bell curve. Normally, we grow in the spring, we kind of flatline in the summer. Typically, we drop off in the fall. Last year, there were a lot of listings. It was really hard to sell stuff. You can see sales just dropped off last year below 2,000 or hovering around 2,000 single-family homes a month. In the pandemic, that would have been 3,500, 4,000, huge number. And so double the amount of sales. That really dropped off. But we're seeing inventory just start to climb right here. So that shows us that we're back on the upswing of the bell curve. And as I've mentioned before, spring is when you typically see more buyer activity and more seller activity up through about June. So we're on that upswing of the bell curve right now. All right, let's take a look at interest rates. So this is good news. So we saw the 30-year fixed rate come down pretty nice over the last few days. There's been some data that's come out showing that the inflation is starting to reduce, that the job market's getting a little harder. And so that's bringing it down. If I flip over to the 30-year fixed rate mortgage here, now we're seeing most of the products that a buyer would write or lock up this week could stay in the upper to mid 6 range. And that's a good thing. So will it stay there? I don't know. But that's the first time we've come back down into the sixes since we were in the sevens all of February and the beginning of March. So now we're back down in the sixes. Obviously, we hope that's going to be a trend that will stick around. You can see we're above 7 there, and now we're back into the sixes. So if you're a buyer right now, you've got some good news. More inventory in the market. Interest rates hopefully coming down a little bit. You're also going to have some more competition because we are seeing multiple offers, or at least a few offers, come in on a lot more properties than we saw the last 18 months or year and a half. We have numerous buyers that have had to compete in multiple offers, not as aggressive as the pandemic, but we are seeing where some of those terms and contracts to make it a little more appealing to the seller are coming back. Yet, there's still plenty of stuff that sat around from last year, or mispriced listings or homes that are not in great condition. Those are going to take a little longer to sell. And as a buyer, you're going to have a little more leeway there. If you're a seller, this is the time. This is the spring. You can see all the other sellers. Everybody wants to be on the market in the spring and get their home sold by early summer. I think we are still in that trend. So if you're prepping your house or getting ready to sell now, you're in a good window. You still got to be, make sure you're really buttoning up, the condition of your home. Make sure it's in good shape. Buyers are going to be a little more picky because they have more inventory to look at than they've had in a while. And so you're still competing with more inventory. So it still matters to make sure your house is in great shape and priced to that condition. If you do that, though, you could have a much faster sale than you would have seen in the second half of 22 or 23. We're going to keep track of this each and every week. I'm seeing some positive signs for the market. And one more thing I would add is, so I was telling a buyer this over the weekend, but there's fear in both markets, both when markets are going up and going down. When the market's going up, there's a fear of missing out. Hey, I need to buy that house because I think the price is going to go up and I may not be able to afford it. That's fear of missing out on the upside. When the market's coming down, there's fear of catching a falling knife, as people would say, like, hey, if I buy it, what if it goes down after I buy it? I don't want to buy it until I know it's not going to go down anymore. I can tell you, I feel like that conversation, the catching a falling knife, was 2022 and 2023. And now that we've turned the corner into 2024, the conversations I'm having again with buyers is much more around, hey, I need to get something before that price goes up. So that psychology is starting to switch. And I think that's also what's driving the market. And that should be based, I think, mostly around the fact that inflation's cooling off, interest rates likely over time will come down, and buyers are realizing this might be their window. Hope this was helpful. Make sure to check out our YouTube channel at Ryan Kelly Group. Click the subscribe button. And you can follow us there. We're going to post these videos each and every week. And on top of that, if you know somebody looking to buy, sell, or invest in Austin, we'd love to talk with them. A lot of activity going on in the market, and we'd love to have a deeper conversation about those goals. Until then, it's spring break. Go out, get some sun, enjoy the longer daylight, and we'll talk to you next week.